There were a number of developments yesterday about the coronavirus and new advice from the government that we're going to be talking through in just a moment.
Well, before we do that, news of one of our own team, Dr Zoe, is self-isolating. Morning, Zoe.
Good morning, Zoe.
Morning, guys.
Hi. So you started feeling unwell on Saturday. I mean, we should say here that you are pretty sure, and we'll come to the testing in a moment, you're pretty sure that you are coming out the other end of the virus.
Yeah. Started to feel unwell Saturday morning. Started just with a headache, and then over the course of about 2-3 hours, I just started to feel quite unwell, feverish, aching all over, absolutely exhausted. Got myself home, straight into bed, slept for 20 hours, and felt rough. But I must say, I've had worse. I've had worse with bad tonsillitis. You know, at no point did I feel that I was going to need the NHS services or that I was in danger. And 48 hours later, I'd say by yesterday afternoon, sort of come out the other end, still feeling a bit rough, but I kind of just feel like I've got a cold now.
But you're not. Obviously, you're young. You don't have any underlying medical conditions, so you would expect this to be the recovery period for you.
Exactly. So I'm young, I'm healthy. I very rarely get sick. I very rarely get unwell. So my experience of this illness has been that it's been, a relatively mild illness. Don't get me wrong, it's knocked me off my feet for a couple of days. I wouldn't have been able to go to work and function. But, it's not the worst thing in the world. Now, of course, for people who are older or who have underlying health conditions, their experience may well be very different. But for fit, young, healthy people, it's reassuring that it's not that bad.
But Zoe, so you think you got the virus from when you were at work, and this was before the extra measures came in place, when people, if they were having any symptoms, could come into the doctor's surgery. So you suspected that you might have got it from then. Do you wish that these extra measures had come in sooner to protect you? Because now, of course, you've come out the worst of it, and yet you can't go back to work because you've got to self-quarantine for longer because there's no test available to say whether or not, A, you had it in the first place, or B, it's out of your system.
Exactly. I think at the moment, I feel it's quite frustrating for me that I haven't been tested. I think I've had it, but it would be great for me coming out the other end to be able to go back to work knowing I've had the virus, and meaning that I could go and see those people at home that still need to be seen at home. I could go into nursing homes. I still have to be very careful. Obviously, I can still take the virus in with me on my fingers, on my clothes, but I can go in with the confidence that I have immunity. So I'm not going to contract the virus from other people. So I think testing for NHS staff is imperative.
Yeah.
It was one of the things that was pointed out, one of the big statements yesterday from the World Health Authority, and the boss there was concluded his part of his statement by saying test. A lot of Europe is testing. It would seem a lot more than us.
Yes. I can understand why testing everybody is not possible, because we have a limited amount of resources, and, putting all our resources into testing everybody rather than treating people who need care is not a good idea. But I think when it comes to healthcare professionals, it's crucial. But I do understand that the government are now really working hard to test not just people who have it at any given time, but actually anyone who has had it. And I can understand why actually focusing our energies on that it is a good idea, because then any healthcare professional who perhaps those who even haven't had symptoms will know who has had it, and therefore who has that protection, that immunity.
So we wish you well. How many days of isolation have you got left then before you can get back to work?
Since Saturday, so I've got another 11 days.
Another 11 days.
So you are going to do the.
Started to get symptoms, so that's the two of us now. 14 days in the house.
Wow. OK, thank you.
Well, you take care of yourself.
You'll be severely missed in the ranks of the amazing NHS who are looking after us as best they can at the moment. Thank you very much indeed.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister held another press conference alongside the Chief Medical Officer and the Chief Scientific Advisor, and along with information about isolation for the over 70s, there was also a warning for pregnant women.
Well, we're joined by Dr Sara and our fertility expert, Dr Larisa. Now, Sara, you are pregnant.
Yeah.
We've all made sure that you are not in contact with anyone. You've been given a separate room this morning. You have essentially been in isolation as you've moved around, but it's your choice to come in today. We said, don't do it. We'll do it by Skype. Why are you here?
So I think I want to show to people that even though there are some, extreme measures that have been put in place, we can get round it. We can do things to help ourselves. So I did my own hair and makeup. I've been in my own isolation. Yes, I'm sat next to you, but, it will only be for this few minutes. We're still very early on in what we know about pregnancy and coronavirus. We know that there is a small but appreciable risk for most infectious diseases in pregnancy, but we're still so early on in what we know our risks are with coronavirus that I think it's just a matter of taking the precautions you can to protect yourself.
I think it came as one of those other sort of anxious moments in what was a pretty black day yesterday as far as news and all our lives changing as they need to. But I think it was one of the reporters went, sorry, excuse me, what did you just say about pregnant women? I mean, that really seemed to come out of nowhere.
It was a bit of a curveball. I wasn't expecting that, if I'm honest with you. It's very hard to go from, I'm young, fit, healthy, I'm one of the groups that I would consider not at risk, to then suddenly be put into an at-risk group and be told that actually you need to employ a sick role. It's anxiety driving, especially because when you're pregnant, you're already, you've already got fairly high anxiety levels. But I think, these are precautionary measures.
OK. Larisa, let's come to you now then. I mean, lots of people are obviously worried about pregnancy, but then they're also worrying about giving birth, newborn babies, breastfeeding. I mean, where are we at with that now?
So the first thing I want to point out is not to panic in view of this new stuff that came out yesterday, because I think it was a bit surprising for all of us to hear, but I feel part of it was also triggered by the fact that we've had a newborn who was recently delivered who tested positive for coronavirus.
Yes.
And so that put a lot of people into panic, wondering whether actually vertical transmission from mother to baby is possible. Now, as far as we know, we don't think that it is, because from all the testing that they've done on women affected with coronavirus, so that's not just in the UK but elsewhere, the amniotic fluid has been tested as negative, and so has breast milk as well. So as far as we know, we think that babies are safe, but these are precautionary measures because women who are pregnant are a little bit more immunosuppressed, so are more susceptible to things like the flu and other viruses. So at the moment, the current advice is that women should absolutely be allowed to breastfeed afterwards, because it's very important that also antibodies and other methods that the baby can get from that breast milk are passed on, and also that bonding experience, which is really vital.
When you said they should be allowed to feed afterwards, do you mean after the 14 days, or do you mean...
No, so they can
straight,
feed
they can just carry on?
Yes,
right.
Exactly, but precautionary measures should be instituted. So, for example, if you are going to breastfeed, consider wearing a face mask, and if you
can't get one of those?
Sneezing, well, it's also, I mean, for the time being, we can, but the thing is that, yes, face masks may also
the chances are the closest you're going to have with your baby anyway. And it's not just when you're feeding.
Yes,
it's not like you can put a baby down. Like you are...
Yeah, so at
there is that closeness there. It's impossible. That is actually an impossible situation.
It is a very difficult situation, but what we're saying is that if a mother has symptoms or thinks she is affected with coronavirus, then we think that the benefits of actually breastfeeding and also having that skin-to-skin contact and bonding with the baby outweigh, yes.
But also there'll be people watching today who this will really worry them, and there is absolutely no current evidence that there is any issue between mother and newborn baby.
Yeah. We simply don't know. That's the problem. And we are learning in this experience too. That's the honest truth, that we are on a very steep learning curve and we have very small numbers to go on. So the government and all of the various different institutions are just taking the safest measures possible.
So the Royal College of Gynaecology and Obstetrics have said that they haven't found it in breast milk, they haven't found it in the placenta blood, they haven't found it in the cord blood. So far...
The signs are there,
The signs are there that it's safe, but, of course, this is a precaution. So please don't get too anxious. All of the evidence is pointing towards us being safe, but actually the government are trying to protect us, and we have to appreciate that in a way.
I mean, having that anxiety and that stress, raising your blood pressure, that worry, I mean, that in itself, you've got to try and stay calm, because that can impact your baby.
But the thing to say about all of this is that with the neonate who was born, everything seems to be suggesting that that wasn't passed on from mother to baby, that could have happened actually during the delivery or afterwards when the baby was being handled, because the baby tested positive only 36 hours later. So the overwhelming evidence at the moment is that there isn't vertical transmission and that most babies are absolutely fine, as are most mothers, but we just need to be completely safe until we get the evidence to say to us that actually potentially coronavirus might affect early pregnancy might affect babies or mothers in some way. But if you do have it, please don't panic. If you do go into self-isolation, it doesn't mean you're going to suffer or get any complications or that your baby's going to suffer or get complications. I don't want anyone to jump to those conclusions.
Surely the bottom line here is, you know, enjoy your baby.
Yeah.
You can worry about absolutely everything. You know, we can find dark corners to worry about everywhere with this. You have a new baby, enjoy your baby.
Yeah. Enjoy your baby, speak to friends, speak to family, you know, try and alleviate some of this anxiety. But also, if you're worried, pick up the phone to speak to your midwife. And, you know, they have an excellent triage service. If you're worried, that's who you speak to.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.